we'll start off a little bit about what I think is going to be a great ball game tomorrow night. Syracuse is having a fantastic year, led by Fair and Woolley, who are just, kids have gotten better year in and year out. I mean, Fair's just continuing to improve her game, close to a 2-to-1 assist to turnover ratio. She's shooting 39% from three, 87% from the free throw line, and can score from all over the court. So we're going to have our hands full trying to contain her. You aren't going to shut her down. You aren't going to stop her. You've just got to make it difficult on her to score. You've got to try to see if you can turn her into a high-volume shooter in order for her to get her 20 points. But she's been really, really impressive for this entire season. And Woolley's really stepped up her play as well. She rebounds the ball. She gets the offensive glass. She's one that, when I watch him on film, it's not like she's jumping out at you by, wow, look at that player, this play. But at the end of the game, when you look at the stat sheet, you're like, golly, the kid got 12. She got 13. Where did it come from? And she makes big baskets for him. She makes baskets that count at crunch time. So we're going to have our hands full there. And then you just go down the entire list. I mean, they're similar to us in a way for, now we don't have the 20-point per game score, but they've got 13-6, 11-7, 9-9, 7-6. You have to respect them all. So I'm expecting just a great basketball game tomorrow night.
Jeff, you mentioned Deja. Statistically, she's about almost the same scoring-wise, but you talked about the assist-to-turnover ratio. Is that where you've seen a difference in her game from last year to this year?
Well, her rebounding as well. She's not afraid to get to the offensive glass. She'll get to the defensive glass, which is where I think she's so impressive is, she can get a defensive board, then she doesn't need an outlet pass because she's got it. And that's one of the things that we talk to our guards about all the time. It's like, hey, if you'll get in there and rebound, now we don't have to find you for an outlet. The break's starting. And she does a really, really good job of that. Her three-point shooting, what's been impressive with her is I'd love to know, and I'm sure we can find it out on Synergy, but what's her three-point percentage when the score's between 0 and 5? Because I'm telling you, the kid doesn't miss many. I always say you can be a 40% three-point shooter and not be a good shooter. If you're 0 for 3 when the score is between 0 and 10, but then you're 2 for 2 when I'm down 15. So I lose by 9, great. But statistically, I'm 2 for 5. I'm 40%. It's not all about what the stat sheet says. She's at 39%, which is very impressive. But I'd say she's 50 plus when that bucket means something. And she's going to have it in her hands. So we have to do everything we can to make it as difficult as we can for her. And then as a team, they do a tremendous job of getting to the offensive glass. So we've got to box them out.
You've known for a while this stretch in the schedule was coming up with 4 ranked teams, I guess, in a row. What do you think the key is for your team to sort of get through this, thrive in it, survive it?
Well, it's just going to be one game at a time, and I know that's the old coach cliche, but it really is. I mean, we had a stretch like this. You go back to our Washington, Ole Miss game at Miami. I mean, we had a stretch where we had 3 ranked teams in a row. So it's nothing that our kids haven't seen. And you can't get too excited if you win one, and you can't get too low if you don't. It's the one thing about our league. I mean, I think our league is really, really good. It's like I say all the time, I just laugh about it because, again, somebody's at the bottom of the league. It's just because the team's at the top and beating them. It doesn't mean they're bad. It's now all of a sudden you win a few games and now you're at the top of the league. And that's where I look at what we've done is we've beaten the teams that on the schedule, mathematically, we're supposed to beat. You're supposed to beat them. We're still the only team to win at Miami since last year. I mean, no one beat them all calendar year of 23. So we did something right there. Then we beat Duke here at home. And even our win at Clemson. I mean, you sit there and you look at the scores. The Clemson games, they're battles. So you got to be thrilled with any win you can get. But I know, and our players know, tomorrow night's going to be, I hope, a great crowd in here. And it should be just a very intense and physical basketball game.
Jeff, you mentioned winning the games you're supposed to win. Obviously, with the way the season's gone, it's easier said than done, especially with a lot of the upsets. But
In this league.
is there something to be said that, despite just some of the struggles or things you feel like you still want to improve on, that the team has been able to win the games that you're supposed to win?
Well, yeah, I mean, I don't know if I'd call it struggles. I mean, we've had minutes during games where we didn't take care of the ball. But it's not like we've gone on a week-long struggle where just one bad game after another. Are there areas that we have to clean up? Yes. Even our UConn game, our first half was fantastic. I mean, offensively, we moved the ball, we were crisp, and then our second half, defensively, we got bad. And then that impacted us at the offensive end. So, I can't say we've had a game where I can be like, man, it's just a bad ball game. But I do know, and our players know, and I've told them, we have to make sure that we start putting as close to a quality 40 minutes together as we can. And if we only have a 36 minutes of good basketball, it can't be 4 straight minutes of bad. That's the area that I keep talking to our players about. Is like, you can't do a Carolina and have 5 minutes at the end of the third quarter that's just bad basketball. Now all of a sudden it's a 15-2 run. It's got to be a minute here in the first quarter, minute in the second, might be 2 in the third and 1 in the fourth, but you're not going to give up an 8-0 run. That's what we have to make sure we get to. It's going to be a matter of who can stop the other team's runs.
You've talked a lot about the mental makeup and obviously putting this team together. You mentioned that stretch earlier in the year. Don't you feel like mentally you're where you need to be now as you head into this stretch? I know it's one game at a time,
yes.
but
No.
it's still going to, when kids look at that schedule, they're like, okay, these next few games.
Yeah, there's no question about it. It's not like we haven't played teams. We know what's in front of us. We know how we have to approach it. We know what we have to do. So do I feel good about where we are? Yes. I told him after our practice yesterday, I've said since I've been here, I mean, if we lose tomorrow, I just want it to be because we don't make shots. I don't want it to be because we didn't compete, we didn't dive on the ground after loose balls, we didn't box out, we didn't follow a scouting report. Everybody wants to make every shot they take. Some days it just doesn't go in. But you can control everything else. And that's what I keep telling. We have to control the controllables. And then, hey, if the ball doesn't go in, it doesn't go in. And there are plays, even in our Pitt game, we had a couple stretches defensively where we did great things. The one time we forced a kid on the break to throw a bad pass that bounced off her teammate's back and came right back to her. And then she went in and shot a layup. And my staff's kind of got upset. I'm like, what are you upset about? She threw it off the girl's back. I mean, it wasn't intended to happen. We tipped the pass, and then it hit our other teammate's shoulder, and then bounced to them. It is what it is. So, if we come out here and play hard and just play composed, get good shots, and defensively do what we're trying to do, then I'll take my chances. Because I think this team is really, really good. They're getting tougher, which is what we had to improve on. And we're going to find out tomorrow, because I think Syracuse is a really tough team that is not afraid of contact, and they like to battle.
You talked about the importance of keeping Syracuse off the offensive glass. How has your team been in that regard so far?
So far, so good. I mean, we've done a decent job of rebounding the ball. Can we get better? Yes. You'll sit here and I've got, other colleagues and friends like, man, you guys really aren't a great offensive rebounding team. I'm like, well, that's because we shoot 50%. I mean, it's one or the other. I mean, yeah, we're not getting a bunch of them, but when you shoot 50% from the field, there aren't a bunch to get. So I'll take that and continue to worry about that if we can make shots. Defensively, I need our guards to rebound. In this game, our guards are going to have to rebound the ball. I've got to have Sid's going to have to, and Kiki and Nina and Jada, all of them. Lily, Riss, every guard that gets the opportunity to get on that floor, they have to rebound. Nyla and O and E have been battling out there, and Lex, when she came in the other night, they're battling to keep the bigs off the boards. And now our guards have to be willing to get in there and clean things up.
Jeff, how much different is it not having that 20-point a game score where now it's more evenly distributed and, you don't really have that person that everybody's focusing on defense?
It's good and bad just for the fact that, I'm trying to get them to understand, like, don't pass up a good shot. Where if you've got that kid that's scoring 20 a night, they're never going to pass up a bad shot. So it's, as the game's going, I want you to be unselfish. We're trying to get the best shot, but when the game's on the line, 2 minutes left, and I've got a clean look, I got to be willing to take that shot. And that's what I'm trying to make sure they all know. Take the shots you practice. I'm not going to be upset if you miss a shot that you practice. But now don't come down the floor and try to post up and give me a cream up to which bar hook shot when you're Jada Curry. You've never practiced it, now all of a sudden here's cream. Okay, do what you do, and then I'll live with the results.
I don't have to plan one at a time. So as a media member, do you guys think about how important it is to get in a position where you host the first weekend of the NCAA tournament?
We talk about it. Do we, throw it down our kids' throats? No, but we do make sure they understand the importance of each one of these games. But like we said, at the same time, we've done okay when we don't host too. So it's not, for us, it's not a do or die. If you look at the results that we've had in postseason play, sure, would I like to be able to stay at home and not travel the first weekend? Of course I would. So yes, we are aware of what's at stake here. But the great thing about this league is it's not like if you lose one game, you don't have 4 more to put you in a spot to recover. And that's the hard thing. My good friend coached at Ball State, and they have a huge game tonight. And he's like, you've got Kent and Toledo and Ball State, the top 3, I think, in their league. And it's like, okay, we can battle each other, we might beat each other, but then if you lose another game, it's considered a bad loss. It's like you don't have 4 other games to make up. And that's why within our league and a lot of your Power 5 leagues, it's not do or die with one game.